Good morning out there. This is Vivi saying good morning. Hi, Mark. Welcome to Sentimentalist. Better take a slurp, I think. Ah, oh, that's good. Well, let's take it easy for about a few minutes, huh? Be together. Yeah, especially in these times. Gee, I don't know. I don't know what to say, because I don't want to be in denial. I just want to admit that how terrible these people are. Here you go. And see what we can say for each other. And just have a slurp and be with Viv. It's nice to be with Vivi, isn't it? Huh? Yeah. Yep. Slept in good this morning. Now, she did get in the mud. The pond has receded because of the drought. But that doesn't mean the mud's not there. So, Vivian, you have a real job. She gets it in her beard, then she shakes her head, and it goes on the wall in the house. And it goes on the floor, and it goes on the front door before she comes in. So you're muddy waters, aren't you? Huh? Yes, you are. Ah. So I hope you guys are coping okay, or somehow. When are they going to learn that we live on a planet and it can go away? I just don't believe it. I don't know. Oh, you want some more? Okay. Well, we're getting towards fall, aren't we? Or we're in it. It's only 46 degrees or so out there, according to my tree thermometer. There you go. Oh, that's pretty good, huh? What a friend. What a friend. What a friend. What a friend. Julie planted asters. I don't know if can you see over my shoulder or anything the purple. What a wonderful thing to have a flower bloom in October, huh? It's beautiful, beautiful asters. Oh my gosh. And everybody made it through the frost, it looks like. I have a few zinnias left. Yeah. Um, yeah. Had a wonderful time the other day with Ray Chiche from New Jersey. Boy, he writes a beautiful poem. He's a Zen master, and he brings that sensibility to whatever he writes. And then on top of that, we're just such good buddies on Zoom. We're really good friends. And then also on Zoom the other night was a very overwhelmingly powerful reading from the new book from Kevin Carey. And sorrowful yesterday. I don't want to say my editor, the editor, and remarkable writer. I mean, he could write everything. He wrote nonfiction, he wrote fiction, he wrote hyperfiction, he wrote flash fiction, he wrote poetry. Baron Wormser, one of the very most valuable people in the country, and he had this column that was very powerful, where he had a very high ethic. He was a Buddhist with an ethic for the world, and he was kind, but boy, he was fierce and straightforward, that's for sure. Baron, thanks for all your help. And to his wife, Jan. See what else we have here. Jim Ellis, we meet every Monday, and Jim, oh boy, tough things in the prison. having to, they have a class, and it's like any class. There's always somebody who knows almost it all, and you have to help with that. And ooh, did you see the? Did I talk about? Did you see the documentary on Ed Sullivan and how it reveals? Yeah, I think I talked about that last week. I can't remember how it reveals that thump was Cat Molly dropping herself non-parachute from the kitchen counter, right, Viv? What did I say? Oh, Ed Sullivan. You know what I didn't realize as a kid watching Ed Sullivan every week was how he was breaking the color line, hugging Ella Fitzgerald, having her on the show, along with the plate spinner and the Topo Gigio. The writer Cindy Frankel sent me fascinating gifts. One was, well, I should tell them all, but one is different writers' libraries and talking about those libraries and these beautiful, stunning photographs of bookshelves. But they're just elegant and wonderful to look at. My goodness. Yeah. Our neighbor, how we doing? We doing okay? Our neighbors, David and Angie, down through the woods there. David's the guy who saved the little woods down below. I mean, he took out all the autumn olive, which is a terrible invasive. And now we can see through the woods, thanks to David. And they wanted some golf balls the other day. There's a pay for you. I go walking through the woods down the trail collecting golf balls for David and Angie. That's a good way to do things. And last night, Max and his husband Doug and Max came over and brought their amazing little dog named Tommy, who can stand on his hind legs for the longest time. I mean, he's only 18 months old. And he turned Vivi into a puppy. Man, they had a time. So we all sat out on the porch, and Julie made a marvelous charcuterie, and Doug had his, I have to have my Manhattan. Every day I have to have my Manhattan, which he did. It's an art. He really does. When the way he makes it, if you watch it, it's like you're watching an artist, right? I mean, it's really something. And Julie made hers turn a kind of, well, it's a red color, but what would you call that color of red? Well, it was a different thing. Oh, it was a different thing. I had a Manhattan. I thought he had a Manhattan. No, he had, sorry, did you say Manhattan? No, he has a martini. He has a martini. And he's very, yeah. See where the small town I'm from? Julie had a Manhattan. 3 cherries blossomed. Yes, a martini. Yeah, and it is, boy, it's really an art form to watch him make that. That's for sure. Yeah. The show that we really enjoyed is this show called, yeah, right, called High Potential. And then oh, I had fun yesterday. I had to go to the doctor, and the whole place was filled with Halloween stuff, ghosts and pumpkins and scary things all through. And I walked in the front door and screamed in the doctor's office, "I can't go in there! I'm not going in there!" That was fun. And then on the way out, there was a young woman at one of the windows for checking out, and it's a sign on the window said training in training. So I went up to the window and I banged on it. And I slammed on the shelf there, bam, and I said, "What kind of a place is this? I don't You got everything wrong. And it was just, it was, and she was like this, and then I said, it's okay. And then I turned to, actually, her mother was standing there, one of the receptionists. And I said to the rest of the receptionists, did she pass? That was really fun. And then she really laughed, and that was neat. It doesn't always happen in a doctor's office where you get some people in the waiting room laughing before they go in to get their shots or their bad news or their good news or whatever. And then, of course, this was the week of Jane Goodall, and Julie has two heroes in her life. One is Julia Child, and the other is Jane Goodall. And there were lots of tears. I can't tell you how moved I was by just what it meant, what Jane Goodall means to Julie. I don't think I can find words that would describe how deeply she's attached to Jane Goodall and what Jane Goodall has done for Julie and what she means to Julie. It was heartbreaking and heart-lifting at the same time. And it's this show that you've got to see. Have you heard about this on Netflix? Called Famous Last Words. And they've made an archive of influential people, Jane Goodall, before they pass, obviously, but it's their famous last words. And they don't show it until the person has passed away. And you sit there, and there's Jane, who has left us, but she's sitting there giving us for 55 minutes her famous last words. Where you going? I think I'm all out. I'm all done. You can leave if you want, but the people, that's kind of rude. Kind of rude. But I don't know how to describe. I think Jane Goodall is in Julie. I think she's in there. And I don't know, Julie, do you want to say anything about it?
Just lots of people, but she leaves a message of hope, which is important right now.
She left a message. Julie's tearing up. It's really something for me to see Julie tear up. That doesn't happen all that often. And she left a message of hope. I think it's pretty much based on all the people she worked with rather than the people she worked against. And she made a wonderful statement. He said, "Was there anybody you don't like?" And she said, "Oh, yeah. And I really don't like them too. I'd like to put them on a rocket ship and just send them off." And he said, "Would you name them?" She said, "Sure. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Steve Miller." And she kept going. I mean, J.D. Vance.
No, I don't think she named all those people, but
Vladimir Putin, Netanyahu,
Xi
Jinping. She just came right out and said them.
All get aboard Musk's rocket ship.
All on the Musk rocket ship, she said. Get them out of here. We'd be so much better. We could start making our move towards saving the planet without them.
She's spicy. That girl is spicy.
She's so calm and she's so feisty. Just says it direct. Yeah, send them off. So with that, oh dear, I lost my notes. I can't lose my notes. That's probably all we need anyway, but come on, pop up. This is the funny part of the show. This is when you get to relax. There we go. Yeah. Right? It's been a nice morning, hasn't it? Yeah. We've been as quiet as you, I think. I think that's good for everybody. Time for a poem. It's a short one, so it's part of a long one, but it's a short one. A short part of a long one. I'm going to sneeze. Oh dear. This is one you don't know for sure. It's tickly. I know. You want to read it? Okay. title is The Cat and I Watch the Morning. Well, Vivi wants to read it. It's what we do each morning. The cat's still sleeping on the sill, tail twitching. Standing at the window, I sip my coffee. New brewed and caramel creamed. Within the sprawl of this light, I want to turn and say, watch how the light moves across the liriope, sharp cutting in shafts, through the winter leftovers of brown and yellow, how it lies on the platter-leaved butterbur, drips down the fragile dangle of coral bells and columbine, and settles into the full dark of the hemlock. That's actually should be for the spring. There's one line I was going to change to, to fall, but whatever. Let's get out and kick some leaves, huh? Kicking the leaves. Didn't that feel good? Take a walk and kick the leaves. Take care. Be kind to those who deserve it. Try to be cheerful. Bye-bye.